Welcome friends, we are here in a session on LIS as a profession. This is a very important and useful topic for anyone who is interested in the profession, for anyone who is part of this profession, whether it be a student, a teacher or any other professional. There is a feeling in the society that LIS is not a profession. Majority of the people agree, yes, this is a profession. So we'll be discussing today both the viewpoints. It's a profession, it's not a profession. Why people feel it's not a profession and how people justify it's a profession. So while doing so, we'll be taking into consideration, as literature says, what are the characteristics of a profession? How can you justify, yes, it is a profession? So we'll be discussing these things. We'll also be talking about terms that are related to a profession like occupation, vocation. And while discussing so, it will be particularly useful to our Bachelors of Library and Information Science students, and particularly this discussion has been covered in our learning material of course 1, Library, Information and Society. And if you see the course material, you will find particularly block 4 that has been devoted to profession and related agencies of information. So the first part of block 4 is covered to these aspects that we will be discussing in our discussion today. So let us begin our discussion with the terms that are often used interchangeably and also have been differentiated from one another. So occupation, it's a very generic term and everyone understands that it is a source of livelihood. So when I say this is my occupation, I generally mean to say that this gives me a livelihood also. Now coming to vocation, vocation is also an occupation, but then this is of a higher degree because it involves work for which you may require certain skills or may at times may not involve skills, but then it involves routine work like artisans and such people who may learn by doing, who may learn by being apprenticed to someone, who may learn by doing it all the time over and over again. So it may require certain degree of skills or it may not require the skills. One can learn by observing, by doing, by working under someone. That is what is called a vocation. In fact, this vocation is it's a degree less. It is low compared to a profession, because when you talk of profession, it generally involves, in fact, not generally, it's an essential condition that it requires is intellectual training. So it is service based also, and it is not job based. When you say vocation or occupation, you are generally referring to one's job, but then profession is a little higher. You are providing service on the basis of the intellectual training. Mind you, it is not merely training, it is an intellectual training. That means there is a knowledge component. It involves cognitive skills also. That is how you define a profession. So I think it's quite clear now that when you talk of occupation, you are talking of your livelihood. When you talk of vocation, you are talking of certain skills which could be of lower level or maybe no skills at all, but then required some specialization which you learn by doing or by observing or working under someone. These skills may be of very low level, but when you talk of a profession, it involves intellectual training. So this is how you can differentiate, though at times you use these terms interchangeably. Now let us concentrate on profession. The definition I read from Oxford English Dictionary, it says, professions, I quote from the dictionary, professions involve the application of specialized knowledge, See, as we were saying, intellectual training there, it is the specialized knowledge. I again continue with the quote, of a subject, field or science. So it is specialized knowledge limited to a particular domain of knowledge that could be it could belong to science or any other field, a particular subject. Then further it says to a fee paying clientele. You know, this component of fee paying clientele, this generally it's indicative of the fact that the person who is a professional, due to his expertise, due to his specialized knowledge, he is getting returns out of it. By providing that service, he is getting returns in the form of the fees or whatever you say, the consultancy that he is getting. Therefore, that aspect is also there in this definition. A little more comprehensive definition I have taken from the Dictionary of Social Sciences. It says, I read from the definition, the term profession denotes occupations which demand a highly specialized knowledge and skill acquired at least in part by courses of more or less theoretical nature and not by practice alone, tested by some form of examination either at a university or some other authorized institution, and conveying to the persons who possess them considerable authority in relation to clients. So see, this definition is quite comprehensive. It begins with that specialized knowledge that you have and skill that you have, but then how did you acquire that? For you attended some courses, some programs of a specified time period, and after doing those courses and programs, you were tested for your competency by an examination, and by having succeeded in an examination, you have been given a recognition by the society so that you are able to provide these services. So see, now the different components are visible in this definition. This shows that profession requires all these components that are very important. So I have tried to sum up these components of a profession out of these definitions. So what are these components? It is specialized knowledge. It is the knowledge of a particular domain, of a particular field, of a particular subject, and it is a specialization that is very important. This knowledge and skills are applied. It is an application of these knowledge and skills, because you say, we have seen in the definition that a profession is service oriented and there is a fee paying clientele. You are recognized out of the services that you are providing. You are paid for the service that you provide, and the specialized knowledge that you have gained, it is out of the courses that you have attended, which are not purely skill oriented. These are theory based courses that you have done, and practice is always there. Skills are always there whenever you talk of applying it. But then these skills are backed by a sound theory and philosophy of that domain of knowledge. And after having learned that, you have been tested for your competency by an examination system, by a university, or any other higher educational system which has tested you for your knowledge and skills. And then after having gained that, after having earned those degrees, you are authorized. You have an authority in the society. For those whom you are providing the service, they honor you, they really respect you for these knowledge and skills or competencies that you possess. So, continuing with the characteristics, the skills that a professional has are backed by theory. There is a theory behind it. That means the theory is giving a proof sound enough for the skills that you have. It is not just learning by doing. It is the theory that results into those skills. There is an extensive education in the systematic theory. That theory that you have learned is learned out of a extensive system of education. There is a community sanction for that. You are having a sanction by the community to perform those services, those activities. You are recognized by the society for that. And there are bodies that give you the authority. There are professional bodies, there are accreditation bodies, and these bodies are like the medical council or the bar council or other such bodies that exist in different professions. So we have defined the characteristics of a profession. Further going into these characteristics, after you have earned all these, you apply these knowledge and skills for the benefit of the society. So there has to be a selfless service that you are providing. There is an altruistic philosophy. You are not serving only to get gains out of it. It's not only for your vocation or livelihood. There is a feeling of serving the society. This is what is meant by altruistic philosophy. Selfless service. Service orientation. User above everything. Service above everything. You don't say, my services are now off. I won't serve. No, it is selfless service, anytime service, and service above anything. Client or user above self. And then there is a code of ethics. Any profession has a code of ethics that helps the professional to work, that guides the professional in work. That is how one is able to maintain standards in services. That code of ethics is given by professional bodies which help professionals to perform as it is expected for them to perform. There is a right to practice also. Service above self. This is the keyword for a profession, that you serve not out of certain motives or gains that you are expected to have. It is basically serving, and that service motto, service orientation, that is very important for a profession. That is what is meant by altruistic philosophy. Service orientation. Interest of the user or the client is topmost. We say user is the king. Therefore, we have a code of ethics also. To really achieve this standard, one is helped, a professional is helped by the code of ethics, which are given by professional bodies. These are guidelines. These help us to really achieve this that is expected of us. We have a right to practice. Anyone cannot practice. It is a professional who can practice, because he has that expertise, he has that competency. It is not anyone's game that anyone can provide that service. It is only after you have attained that stature, those degrees, those competencies, those experience, that you are able to provide service at that level. Another feature that is very important of a characteristic of a profession is that you constantly strive to improve yourself. You always try to be better off. You keep learning. Otherwise also we say today, change is the only constant in life. This is how things are moving. Knowledge is expanding so fast. But when it comes to a professional, it is all the more important, because his services are being utilized, are for the benefit of the clientele, for improving the state of the society. It could be different domains. So if you are not updated, if you are not able to identify the problems and serve them, the clientele, you are not really performing 100%. And for that, you need to improve, you need to learn, you need to know better of the problems of your clientele and also the solutions to those problems. Therefore, you have to constantly update yourself to provide better service. Not only to provide better service, but also 100% service. You have to provide highest standards of service that is also very important for a professional, and it is not out of any fear. It is not out of any fear of being penalized. It should come from within. Self-consciousness to provide best service, to see that how you can contribute for the betterment of the society, for the improvement of the society. These are very important as far as a professional is concerned, as far as the characteristics of a professional is concerned. So see how difficult, how the standards are of highest level. That is how you identify a professional. That is why a professional earns that regard of the society. You can think of different categories of professionals, and you would yourself see and realize and observe that they are given the highest regard because they really fit into these characteristics. Now further moving on to the characteristics of a profession, there is an association of profession. Every profession has associations, and you know how this association works. The association means people coming together, thinking of doing it better, thinking of working collectively, collective minds coming together and providing better services, thinking of also the interests of the professionals, thinking of providing most efficient services in the best possible way, thinking of learning together, providing better opportunities to learn and be better off in the profession. The association does that. Association helps the profession to achieve the objectives of the laid down by the profession. And also there has to be a cooperation and coordination amongst themselves, the professionals, and there also association takes a role in that also, to help them be coordinated and work in cooperation. The need for profession is also very important. The society feels the need for it. The society wants that such a profession should be there. There has to be a need for the profession. There is a need felt that such set of people with such competencies are required for the society to survive, to perform better, to achieve its objectives and mission in life. And you said, we have already seen that there has to be a theory, there has to be a mass of knowledge, and how to develop that, there has to be a standardized terminology. Terminology helps develop the field, domain, and you do it in a standard way, and you are able to develop further onto that knowledge. Therefore, a standardized terminology is also very important. Autonomy for the profession. The profession should have autonomy. That is a very important characteristic. The society should not force the profession, because it is the profession that has expertise in that domain. And autonomy as well as authority. Autonomy for the profession, authority for the professionals. We have just seen, we have discussed earlier that they are given the best regard, and therefore they have the authority also. You know, authority and competence go hand in hand. If the society feels, yes, they are competent, they are indispensable, they are important, they have the authority, and autonomy also is there. Now, we have seen the characteristics of a profession. Now, let us try to see whether these characteristics come true of LIS or not. Why people feel it's not a profession? What are these drawbacks? What are these weaknesses? And what are these that are the strengths of this profession that we can say, yes, it's a profession. Now, beginning with LIS is a profession. We'll talk of both the opposite views that are there, and we try to justify, yes, it is a profession. The first is skills. LIS as a profession has a set of skills. These skills are theory based. It is not that you learn these by doing. There is a theory behind it. You think of any set of skills, whether it is knowledge or information acquisition, organization, storage, preservation, dissemination, all these require theoretical background. It is not that a person of any profession or any discipline can just perform these services. It is only after achieving those theoretical background, those cognitive skills, that one is able to really perform. You need to have an extensive education at a level which is demanded by the type of service you are providing. Though the education is provided at different levels in the particular field, but then they are supposed to play roles and performance at different levels in the society. We may have programs at certificate, diploma, graduate, postgraduate and doctorate level also. Accordingly, it is expected that they perform at different levels. We all agree, yes, they have to constantly update themselves. With the changing domains of information, with the changing scholarly world, with the changing needs and requirements of the users and knowledge disciplines, you see that people of this profession have to update themselves, constantly update themselves, so that they really help the society to achieve its mission objectives. Yes, associations are there. We will, in a moment of time, we will see some of these examples that are there. Cooperation and coordination, yes, it is there. We will see how they cooperate and coordinate. There is no feeling, there is no one who can say it's not there. There is a standardized terminology. It is this standardized terminology on the basis of which we have been able to develop a mass of knowledge, and we are constantly adding to this standardized terminology. There is a code of ethics that has been given by professional bodies, associations, and we try to follow these code of ethics. We have got a community sanction also. So these all are positive towards proving, yes, it's a profession. Now, I have just given you one example here. You know that while we have a extensive system of education, one example here on your screen, I am showing how it is recognized. The University Grants Commission has itself given the curriculum has been given, and therefore it is recognized. There is a system of education. There is a set curriculum that has been given, and now they are providing service. On the basis of these expertise, we are providing service. We are changing ourselves. We are updating ourselves. This is an example of how we are updating. We are providing remote access to information. We are going ourselves to the workplace of the user, to wherever user wants. Libraries going out of libraries to provide service. So there was a time when it was felt that it is a collection of information. It is a collection of documents. It was print based. Now it is digital based. It is 24/7 by 365. And this is an example of how we are constantly updating ourselves. Two such examples that we are providing online services, we are providing digital services, we are providing services in any constraints that we are facing today. Particularly, we are facing, all of us in this society, the constraints of social distancing. We are not able to really do it in the face-to-face mode. Libraries are coming to our help, to our fore, and this is on the basis of constantly updating ourselves, providing the best possible services. As far as associations are concerned, we have associations at different levels. This is an example of a national association of our country, the Indian Library Association. Just for your help, I showed that website, and you can visit it and you can see how the national level association that has been in existence and has been really trying to guide the professionals, set an agenda for the profession at national level, also taking care of state level associations, coordinating and cooperating with those associations, and seeing that the profession is able to achieve its aims and also able to do better all the time. This is an example of a Special Libraries Association, the IASLIC, Indian Association of Special Libraries and Information Centers. So this particularly takes care of the needs of special libraries and information centers and provides them a direction and guidelines for working better and seeing that they are able to achieve the objectives by being connected with special libraries and information centers. Now, talking of cooperation and collaboration, we will show you some examples. The one here is a library and information network that has been set up by University Grants Commission, the body of University Grants Commission. The InfluMnet Center, it's a library information network and providing services, taking the professionals together to serve the society in the best possible way, using information communication technologies, providing services not alone on the basis of documented sources, but also human resources, providing technological breakthroughs, helping libraries, providing consultancy services in technological solutions to information provision. This is another example how we have tried to form consortia by coming together. You have seen the characteristic of an association that they collaborate, they contribute, they cooperate, and we have different types of consortia with slightly different views, slightly different objectives, serving different sets of institutions and users, and therefore we have different types of networks and consortia. And here on your screen we have enumerated some of such very important consortia in different fields like agriculture, astronomy and astrophysics, health sciences, management, and similarly in biotechnology, our science and industry, CSIR labs and science and technology, Indian Institute of Management. So we have tried to see that how we come together and work towards providing better services. Now, we said we need to have a standardized terminology. Here is an example of a standardized terminology. There is a glossary, and not one glossary. There are different glossaries at different levels, and we are trying to contribute towards developing a standardized terminology for the discipline, which is an essential characteristic of any profession. While talking of code of ethics, we have given code of ethics at different levels, different associations have given, and these act as the Bible for us. They guide us, they help us design services, they help us to provide best possible services which are really expected of a profession. Here on your screen are the IFLA code of ethics that are international in nature. Similarly, the national code of ethics doesn't mean that one professional of a different nation should not be guided by these, but then every national association has tried to give a code of ethics, because this is very important that a professional conducts herself or himself in a manner that is befitting of a profession, and therefore whether it is the library association, which is now CLIP, but then this is how it has been given for the association at UK, USA, and whether you see different code of ethics, but the sum and substance of these code of ethics is, as you have seen, of the characteristics of a profession: highest level of service, equitable service, and unbiased service, courteous service, and organized based resources, and therefore the ethics towards the user, towards the profession, towards colleagues, and all these are covered by different code of ethics. Similarly, the Joint Library Association in India, JOCLI, has also given a code of ethics, and therefore we can say, yes, we really the profession justifies all these concerns, all these characteristics that are expected of a profession. Now, let us talk of what are these weaknesses on the basis of which people say, no, it's not a profession, which really are there. And particularly for our own country, the profession in India, there are certain areas which are gray areas on which we really need to work on. Like, one is approval by an authority. You see, we have such bodies, accrediting bodies in different professions. Whether you talk of law, you talk of medicine, you talk of teaching, you talk of other professionals which are older, which are more established, like the Medical Council of India, the Bar Council of India, Teacher Association, and Teacher Council, National Teacher Council of India, but then not in library information science. You do not have a accreditation body. You do not have this approval by the authority that this is one of the weaknesses that is there. Though if you talk of LIS education, you have the University Grants Commission, but then as a professional body, you do not have accrediting bodies. This is a weakness that exists for our profession in India. Similarly, if you talk of altruistic philosophy, we are guided, but then there is no uniformity as far as this is concerned. There is a weakness that is observed by us and which at times takes away our opinion of being a professional, and therefore it so happens. Similarly, we are lagging at times if you talk of highest standards in service, though this is wavering. You cannot generalize, but then those who have this feeling, they feel this could be a reason. And similarly, self-consciousness also at times forces people to think otherwise as far as LIS is a profession or not. Now, we said it has to be constantly updating itself, and we see that LIS profession has been changing role. In the past times when it began, it was scholarly in nature. There were no such designations. People who were scholarly in nature, those who were above the general common people, they were assigned this role. They were scholarly librarians, and with time it moved towards being an occupation, and with changing times it became a vocation. There was a need felt to provide service. While working in the libraries, we honed our skills. We learnt by doing, and it was this era which librarianship was vocational in nature. And with time, it had a academic bent of change was there, and this profession developed its theory. For that, we should not forget and mention the name of S.R. Ranganathan, who contributed a lot. He is one of such professionals, one of these people who has really contributed towards developing a theory for the discipline, and it moved towards being a profession. Nomenclature has been changing with time, beginning with library science, library information science. Now you also, in some countries, you call it librarianship, library studies, library management. So nomenclature has been changing, and since it is interdisciplinary in nature, it has in academic institutions, in universities, in institutions of higher learning, being placed under different faculties in the arts, in the social sciences, in the sciences, and also as a faculty in itself also. There are related fields that are there, museum studies, archives, and naturally these are all based on artifacts, and the main purpose is the same as of library information science as a discipline, more of the discipline based. But now when you talk of these, it is the artifact based. The professional transformation is there, beginning with being a custodian of information and knowledge and books, moving towards being a librarian, documentation officer, information officer, and now a digital librarian. Just to support the fact, I show here of the Indian Council of Social Science Research, where the documentation officer is there. There are different levels of staff, professionals, semi-professionals, and non-professionals, depending on their expertise, their degrees, their education, and the type of work they are involved in, and also different types of job domains that they are into. We have different types of professionals like the classifier, cataloger, administrator, bibliographer, indexer, and a reference librarian. And it could also be a teacher, a classificationist. Moving further, the thesaurus designer, librametrician, bibliometrician, informatrician, content developer, which is very important today. So what we have discussed today is that we have tried to justify, yes, LIS is a professional, and we have extensively discussed the characteristics on the basis of which we can say, yes, it's a profession. We have also seen the weaknesses on which we have to work, particularly for our country, where we need to work more onto it and help to justify, yes, it's a profession. Thank you.